morning and welcome to the YWCA. My name is Lisa Smith and this is Enlightened Conversations. Enlightened Conversations brings together people from throughout the community to discuss issues of social injustice, discrimination, and racism. Through these conversations, we hope to learn more about each other and more about what we can all do together to end these injustices. Tonight's topic is Growing Up Gay in Hanover, and our guest is Bryan Asper, a native Hanoverian who spent his youth here and has recently returned to his hometown. Bryan is a very successful business owner here in town, a single dad, and the founder of Pride Hanover, a local LGBTQ organization for gay individuals and their allies. Welcome, Bryan. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
We've got a number of questions that we're going to address to Bryan. And then if you have questions, please make sure that you write in so that we can get your questions answered as well. But basically what we want to do is talk to Bryan about his experiences growing up in Hanover and how he has found Hanover to be now that he's back. You know, what changes has he seen and what might he suggest to parents and youth that compare to his experiences that might help people. So first of all, Bryan, a little bit on your family background. Do you have siblings?
I do. I'm one of 9 kids.
Oh my, where are you in that birth order?
I'm the second oldest.
Okay, all right.
It's a blended family, so
Okay.
yeah. I have an older brother, Tommy, and then it's myself, and then I have my brother Dustin and my sister Danielle, Tiffany, Kyler.
Yeah, it's a bunch.
A
I wasn't
bunch.
going to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to quiz you on the names. Yeah. And we
Thanks.
won't ask for
It's a lot.
ages and birthdays, you know. But
Yeah.
there were quite a few kids in the household
Yeah.
at any one time. And you attended Hanover Public Schools, right?
I did
Yeah,
until
for a while. Yeah.
until middle school.
Okay, all
Yes.
right. So where did you go to elementary? Which one of the
I went to
elementary?
Washington Elementary.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's right down close to where I live. So what were your interests as a young kid? Did you play sports? Were you interested in music? What were you into?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't into sports, but I was encouraged to play sports.
Okay.
I was encouraged to play for the Hanover Huskies. I was on the line, and
Yeah.
we did that. My interests were more on the lines of fashion and art and different things like that, music.
Okay,
Yeah.
all righty, okay. And at what point in your youth did you realize that something was different, that perhaps you didn't quite fit in with some of your other friends, and at what point then did you identify that as, I think I'm gay?
Well, it wasn't really, honestly, me realizing it for myself right away.
Okay.
I was actually, in school, I was bullied. I used to be different, I used to walk down the halls with, at the time I liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Okay, yeah,
and
I remember when she was the big thing. Yeah.
Right. And I had these pair of gloves that were lace, and I would wear them to school, and people would pick on me and make fun of me. And then, a couple kids cornered me and told me, you're gay. You're, I don't know if we're allowed to say this one.
Say whatever, they'll bleep it out if it's a problem.
Right. They used to call me a faggot because that's it was not normal to them. Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't really until I was really like 12, 13 that I really got it. Right. I just, at that time, my family didn't talk about homosexuality. We talked, we talked about a man and a woman. We talked about, Kids. That's all we talked about. I grew up as a Catholic. and that was tough, you know.
Yeah.
Catholic guilt is a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I still struggle with it,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
I can understand that. I'm 66 and still recovering.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, it is, people say about, being a recovering Catholic, and it's a real thing.
right.
It really is. What age was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and
I
the
was
name
in
Cullen?
third and fourth grade. That's when I started really getting into Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I
So
had
there's.
Mr. Zombrum. That was my I think fourth grade teacher.
Hmm.
Um, and forgive me, I'll probably not remember timing because I
Right,
block a
because.
lot of things out because of the traumatic experiences that I've
Hmm.
had in this, community when I
In
was,
that time frame,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But I often wonder when things like that happen in third grade, fourth grade, and kids throw those words around, if they even know what they're
they
saying.
have no idea what they're saying.
They
It's coming
just
from their parents.
and to them it's just something to put you down. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's
yeah.
just a dig. The kids don't know what they're saying. It's the uneducated background of their parents pushing their beliefs onto their kids and not
Mhm.
letting them grow up and be open
Mhm.
and thinking for themselves.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the bullying continued, I'm
Oh,
sure.
all the way until
Yeah.
I got into high school, I would say, because I had moved around because of the fact that I was getting bullied in Hanover. I had to end up. I went to Spring Grove for a bit, then I went to Southwest for a bit, then I went to back to Hanover for just a brief time, and because the schools really didn't know what to do with me.
Mhm.
They didn't like the fact that I was openly weird or abnormal or as people call it.
Mhm.
I was just myself.
Mhm.
I was a kid just being myself, and it sucked
Mhm.
being bullied and tormented by other kids.
Yeah.
Um,
And schools are not necessarily known for being really good at dealing with bullying.
no, especially in this area.
Right.
They're not. I mean, they've gotten better, but they're still not good.
Right.
Um, I think that this area needs a lot of education. I think that the schools need to step up and start educating their kids and letting them know that just because somebody is different doesn't mean that you have the right to talk to them in such a manner to demean them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So where did you graduate then?
I graduated from Yorkville Tech because
Okay.
it was a city school. It was where I found myself and
Mhm.
found out that, I was accepted there. I
Right.
mean, I still had, issues there. I'm not going to deny that, but it was better.
Yeah, larger pool of kids to draw from,
Absolutely.
for one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you own a salon now, a hair salon. Were you able to do any of that? Did you get a chance to experience that part of the technical part of their education there?
No, I actually did fashion design.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Mm-hmm.
I really studied for that and really dug deep into that. I actually, um, we had projects that we had to do. Our senior project for fashion design was to make our own garments.
Mm-hmm.
And we put on a fashion show. I made lots of garments. I actually made my own tuxedo for my
Wow.
prom. It was really awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So what happened after high school? Where'd you go?
After high school, um, after high school, I kind of got lost a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because I was dealing with all the trauma, and I ended up turning to, doing some illicit drugs and, partying out in, the nightclubs too much.
Were you still in this general area? Or
I
had
was,
you
but I
moved?
was traveling out to the different cities.
Yeah.
I would drive and go for the weekends. I remember one time my mom actually had to call the police to find me. She tracked me. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
something that, looking back, I'm not happy I did it, but I'm glad that I got through it.
Yeah.
And that's why I own Hope Salon, is because I, had hope the whole time that I was going to make
You
it out of
found
that.
hope through that.
Yeah.
At what point through all of this, Brian, from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer years, since we third, fourth grade up until post high school, at what point did you sit down with your parents and say, "Hey, I think this is what's going on"?
About 13 years old.
Okay. How did they handle it?
Well, my family's Catholic.
Mhm.
It was something we didn't talk about. I remember when I was, a young kid in the backyard, and there was an African American couple that lived in the building that my grandmother lived in, and I was pulled away from them because I was playing with an African American child, and so that was my first taste of discrimination with my family. So when I came out, for the most part, I would say my Aunt Deb,
Mhm.
my grandmother.
God bless grandmas. Yeah, they're always so good.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
My grandmother, some of my aunts, they were really good about it. At least to my face.
Yeah.
My mom had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
She didn't understand it. She couldn't accept it. She did a little bit of her homework though to educate herself. She did. She put in a little bit of work into it. It was hard for her. She was a devout Catholic. She still is a devout Catholic. So.
Yeah, and it can be very hard for some parents, and then others, they kind of take it in stride. Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on what the parents were used to as a child.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not something that was talked about in our family,
Right, yeah.
So she didn't. She just thought it was wrong. So
Has she come around?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, she has.
Good.
I mean, she still has her moments, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think any parent's gonna have their
Yeah,
moments,
right. Yeah. But grandmas are made to love
Oh my
unconditionally.
gosh,
So,
my
I'm not
grandmother
surprised.
was a saint.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, she
Yeah.
was.
And
So.
if she was in your eyes, then she was in everybody's eyes, I'm
Right.
sure. So, how about to others in general? Like friends and other than family members.
I didn't really have a lot of friends until I got to high school, really, honestly. I had a few here and there, but they faded when
Well,
the whole.
you moved high schools,
Right.
so it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to keep those friendships.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it faded
Um,
out, so.
So at what point then did you go? You're a barber or a cosmetologist?
I'm a cosmetologist.
Okay. At
Yeah.
what point then did you go to school for cosmetology?
I went to school shortly after, after I came back, like high school,
Yeah.
and got out of the whole partying.
The
scene.
lost years. Yeah. Yeah.
The lost years.
Yeah.
I mean, they did continue into the, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that you may have felt a little bit more comfortable there.
At cosmetology school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for a little bit. I mean, I did go to Empire in Hanover,
Mhm.
and there was a little bit of discrimination there,
Yeah.
I
Because it's
mean,
still small town at
right,
that point.
it's
Yeah.
still small town.
Yeah.
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 It's not till I left Hanover and got into the bigger city.
Yeah.
And my first city was Philadelphia, the
Mhm.
city of brotherly love, and I really flourished there. I found
Yeah.
I found myself, for the most part, to start, finding yourself. We
Yeah.
just had a really
When
good
did you
time.
move to Philly?
Oh, I moved to Philly in 2009,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And you worked in salons there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I worked in a salon called Hope Salon, right this down the street from Rittenhouse, and it was amazing. The guy, my boss, Bill, he was amazing.
Yeah.
He really really truly like he was like a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So.
great way to gain new perspective on not only your career, but your your experiences here, to kind of see it from a different perspective.
Oh yeah,
To
definitely
be
for
able
sure.
to back up into another locale and look back on it. It just, I think it makes a big difference. So what drew you back to Hanover?
Well, I wasn't supposed to stay when I came back, to be very honest.
Well, we're glad you did.
Thank you.
At least
Thank
till
you.
tonight.
Yeah,
anyway,
right? No,
I'm hoping you stay longer.
I'm gonna stay longer. I have a lot of work to do in Hanover. My grandmother passed away 6 years ago today.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Makes it a rough day to have the interview.
it's okay. I'm happy to do it. She's here with me, guiding me through this.
Yes.
So,
And that made you decide to move back?
no. What made me decide to stay here was I was actually supposed to go into the military.
Okay.
At the time, I did not have all the tattoos I had. I had a couple on my ears and nothing that was above the neck or, that I was disqualified for. It was my tattoos on my ears that disqualified me from going into the Navy.
You're kidding.
No,
I did not realize
yeah,
that.
and then literally a year later, after I had given up my career in Baltimore, they changed the rules.
Oh, geez.
So what made me stay was that I saw the progression of Hanover changing, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I wanted to see my hometown grow. And it has. It's grown leaps and bounds. Look at downtown, all the businesses that are downtown. Look at, the fact that we have a Target and a Starbucks in Hanover is amazing.
Two.
Two, right? Two. It's crazy,
Yeah.
and that's great. And, it's only going to get better.
Yes.
I just, I saw the change in the people, until this year, everything was great. With 2020, it has totally turned the bend, and hopefully we can get back to where we were,
Yeah.
and we can be kinder to each other and be better and be more supportive of everyone. So,
But you've taken some great steps, I think, since you came back to
I
help
hope so.
put us on that path. With the salon and Pride Hanover, I think those are two huge steps. I mean, you're a large part, in my opinion anyway, you're a large part of making that change happen. You and quite a few other people in your age bracket, I
Right.
don't want to typecast, but people who have come back to Hanover and have helped to change those attitudes, and have breathed new energy into the community.
I can be very honest. If it really wasn't for my son, I probably would have, helped out, but I wouldn't have taken the biggest step in creating an LGBTQ community.
Tell us about that. Tell us about Pride Hanover.
Pride Hanover is just in its early stages. We are trying to become a resource center at some point, and to have a resource center in Hanover for the LGBTQ community. We want to help the youth of Hanover. We want to help the seniors of Hanover that are still closeted, that are still fighting those demons, that, it's okay to be you. We're trying to help the parents understand that while you might not understand it, you're still their parents. And with LGBTQ kids, that's what they fear the most, is that their parents are going to love them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, is the fear of rejection. Yeah. Because, I remember it being said a long time ago. This is way back during the AIDS crisis. That for a lot of young men at that point, the first time their parents found out they were gay is when they were sick,
Right.
and their biggest concern was the rejection on both counts, you know. But yet, one of the things I used to work with an AIDS support group, and one of the things we would always tell them is that keep in mind that, you know, yes, you are, you know, you're still their son, and you know, you came from a heterosexual relationship, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you yourself, it's not an inherited thing.
No, no.
You know, and it's nothing that, you know, and we would tell the parents the same thing. It's nothing you did. It's just, that's the way God
Created
things.
you. Yeah. And here's what I can say to this is, people say it's a choice.
No.
Why in the HE double hockey stick
Yes.
would anybody choose to have a life where you are constantly belittled, having bigoted comments yelled at you in the streets, when you go out to a bar, when you go out to a store, you get looks, you get, I mean, I still do it today. I still get them. You know, I still get the looks. You know, I'm at Walmart and you see people look at you like, oh, look.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I dress pretty different from a lot of people in this town. And, you know, and that has to do with the fashion background. And, you know, me being gay is all about fashion. So.
Right, yeah. So that comes with the
Right.
territory for you, because that's part of your interest.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I get so upset when people talk about sexual preference rather than sexual orientation, because it's not a preference.
It's not a preference, and that's a
So-
very, very derogatory term for us. It's an orientation. We did not choose this. We would not choose this. We have to live through it.
Yeah, it is what I mean. It's no different than the color of eyes you were born with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, what now? You've got a young son.
I do.
How old is he now?
My baby is 3 years old.
Oh my heavens! Yeah. So I did get a chance to meet him at one
Yes.
of our past ones. He's a cutie. So at what point? How do I want to phrase this? At what point will you feel it's appropriate to explain to him that
Now,
some people look at you differently and some people look, you know?
now, the time is now.
Really?
I will not sugarcoat or put a blind eye to him. I want him to see what this world is really about,
Okay.
and let him see that there are kind people out there, but there are bigoted people out there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that's what's going to change our next generation, is to see that.
To see the difference
To
right
see
away.
the difference right away. Don't hide your kids to it, because it's not going to do them any justice. Not at all.
Well, and when you show them at that age, I think, Brian, if there's a good, you know, who would choose to be a bigot?
Right.
You know, that's where the preference comes in, is if you choose to be a nasty, bigoted person. And we've seen quite a few of those in recent times.
Yes, we have.
But if you know, draw that comparison at a young enough age, you know, and point out that this is the way we choose to be kind and open and accepting, your son's going to follow in those footsteps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My son is the most kindest, kindest, most loving 3-year-old that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
So far.
yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. What advice would you give to older kids? Let's say this room right now was filled with 6 or 8 kids in the ages of 10, 11, 12 who are questioning, you know, there's something different with me. how would you advise them?
Dig deep. Um, don't be afraid, because even if your parents don't accept it, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You will get through it. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, but know that you will get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully, you'll be able to direct them to here to the YW with the community that
Yes.
program that they have, or to Pride Hanover.
Absolutely.
For those
Well, we partnered
resources.
with the community Pride Hanover has and the YWCA
Mhm.
so that we can all join forces and make this a better community for Hanover.
Right, yeah. Speaking of those kids and teens and parents, I can see on the screen we've got
Oh,
some,
yeah.
some questions, a bunch of questions. So we've been talking away and I've been ignoring the screen. So, Rosemary, tell us what we've got.
So our first question is, with your experience of feeling hatred, how has that changed you?
It's made me a kinder person, to be very honest. I've turned that hate into the driving force of what I'm doing today.
That's kind of amazing because a lot of people, when they experience hate, they become bitter and hardened.
Oh, I'm not going to
You're-
say I was not bitter. I was bitter, but in my own way, and I had to turn that and make that into, because if I would have continued down that path, I would not be here today.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because we can kill ourselves with
Right.
hate. Yeah, yeah. What else do we have, Rosemary?
That's a great point. The next question is, has it made you feel more compassion for other marginalized groups?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My son is African American, Caucasian, and Hispanic. My salon is open and accepting for all LGBTQ community and all ethnicities. I love everybody, and that's what it comes down to. That's what I'm a religious person, so pardon this, but I don't know if this is a great platform to put this out, but God loves everybody, and love is love, and Jesus would not turn his back on anyone.
And so neither will you.
No, I will not.
No.
Even people that come into my salon and do not love what we're about, I'll still be there for them.
Have you had people come into the salon, realize what the Hope stands for, and leave?
I've had some that came into the salon and sat down and, debated with me about it.
You're
And
kidding.
no. And and it's okay, because while they have their opinion, I have my opinion. And as long as at the end of the day, we can respect each other, I don't mind that.
Yeah,
I want that because it's going to make me a better person.
yeah, that's great. That's great. Rosemary?
Yep, we've got another question here. What advice do you have for parents of all kids? How do you prepare them to accept everyone and to let them know, no matter who they date or crush on, you're going to love them and you want to hear about it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
You sure can.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was a long
That
one.
was a long one.
What advice do you have for parents of all kids? How do you prepare them to accept everyone and to let them know, no matter who they're interested in, you are interested in hearing about it and want to hear about it?
You start young. You start at a young age, and if you haven't started yet, get to it. There's no better time than now, right? If you preach and teach love, everybody's going to feel that, and if you don't, shame on you.
What does Pride Hanover have planned for the Hanover community?
Well, we have been in the talks now for a little while about creating a movie night out at Malfield. where it's a free event where you come out once a month and we will put on a movie so that you and your families can come out and just get out, do something as a family, and just get out of your house and do something. Instead of sitting behind the computer, sitting behind the televisions, breathe some fresh air and be around the community as a whole. And then the next thing we have planned is we have Pride Fest. We are working on that as we speak. I'm so excited about it.
When will that be?
Hopefully, if we get everything in, we will have it in June.
In June. Good.
Because Pride Month is June.
Mhm.
So we're working on that right now. Hopefully that will be able to take place at Malfield like we want. And we're going to have some entertainers. We're going to have some keynote speakers. We're going to have some different events going on for kids. We're going to have, some dance party. We're going to have lots of events and some vendors, food trucks where you can just come out and have a blast. Love one another, be united with your community, and just get out there.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So, is Pride Hanover a membership type
No,
organization, or people can
Pride
just...
Hanover is, we have a Facebook page, we have a Facebook group. It's not a membership. You're an ally. You are part of the LGBTQ community. You're welcome.
Okay.
Our board meetings, we do have a limited number of chairs there.
So it's a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit for
Right.
Hanover. We just had a fundraiser at Texas Roadhouse, and I am so amazed by the generosity of this community so far. In 5 hours out of Texas Roadhouse, we raised over $1,500, and that is in a pandemic.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So that's how I know this community is changing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's changing, and they want to see this change. They want people to get out there and do better. They want people to see the light.
When you had a really fun event tied in with Halloween, right? With the pumpkins?
Oh yes. So we had a group. We had put out some pumpkins, and we got pumpkins out to some people, and they had painted them, and they had to have some kind of LGBTQ reference, pride, and we placed them in different businesses, and it was amazing because most of the downtown businesses took them, and that we raised $170.65 from just doing that, and
That's
the
great.
pumpkins are amazing. What they did, it's breathtaking.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. We've got some very artistic people in
We
town.
do.
so-
I love that.
Yeah.
Right now, we're having a fundraiser at Cobb 51 down here in Hanover. It's a paint night. They're doing phenomenal down there. I stopped in there before I came here. I love Lisa. She's amazing, and I can't wait to see what she does for this community.
That's great. I noticed that your mask says Pride Hanover. Do you have merchandise that
We
you have
do.
available?
We have merchandise. We have T-shirts. We have sweatshirts. We're working on getting more masks because we sold out of them. We have stickers. We have window clings. We have all kinds of different things. We do have a Prestige Apparel. It has a page on there for merchandise where you can go and buy the merchandise and order, and then we will distribute that to you. So if you go to our Facebook page, and the link will be there for you to go and purchase some of that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Sounds good. It sounds good. How's our questions looking?
If somebody is interested in learning more or participating on the Pride Hanover committee, how would they go about getting more information?
They can reach out to us through our Facebook page. Right now, we are one member short of being a full LGBTQ board. We are waiting for a transgender to come forward and be part of this, and we implore you to come out and do that if you're out there watching this.
Okay, so you need a board member to fulfill that particular goal.
Yes.
But you could use allies and volunteers.
Oh,
and
absolutely. We'll
supporters
take
of all
lots of
types.
volunteers, you know. We're going to have lots of things. I know in December we have, oh gosh, we have a musical thing going on where we're going to the Brethren home and a YouTube channel where we're going to be sending out some Christmas carols to the Brethren home.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so to give those folks some, you know, Christmas cheer.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
We are going to be doing something down at the Santa Shack where we're going to give away some toys to some kids while we set up our table. Then we are also holding right now, we're going to be holding at the end of this month, the last week, and the first week in December, a gift card fundraiser through Texas Roadhouse, and then we will be having shortly right after that we'll be having another fundraiser there.
Yeah. So it sounds like Texas Roadhouse has been extremely
Oh, they
supportive.
are amazing. They
Yeah.
are. Jen is. She's the one that I, direct everything through. She's just wonderful. She's a wonderful, wonderful person.
They do a lot of fundraisers.
They
I
do.
think,
Well,
and
you
it's
know.
great to know that they're very supportive.
Absolutely, yeah. And we had Be the Change that has partnered with us. We have the Hanover Y. It's just I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful to see that.
Yeah. And part of that is, I think, comes from the change in attitude that has happened with the change in demographics
Absolutely.
here in town.
I love-
You know, the fact that people were moving back,
Mhm.
and also that new people were moving in, and and folks are actually opening their eyes to things beyond what existed 50 years ago.
Absolutely.
Or what was under the bushel 50 years ago. We'll put
Right,
it that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
in the closet, or
Yeah.
wherever you want to hide things. Not that things didn't exist, we just didn't recognize it in Hanover.
Right. Well, I mean, look at it. We have a large Hispanic population.
Exactly.
We have the African American community that is moving in, and I love to see that. It's amazing to see color in this town.
Yes, it is. It
When
is.
I was growing up, we didn't have very much of that, and when I left and went to the city, it was just I loved walking around there and seeing different people.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated
High
in
school.
2002.
2002.
Mhm.
I really wish it would be great to see if all of the folks who graduated from like around 2002, 2000 back to maybe 85, 90 would come back to town, because there was a great brain drain for a while, where that was the big thing, was graduate and get out of Hanover. If they would,
That was me.
yeah, if they would come back and see the change, I think it would be amazing to quite a few people.
Oh, I think it would too.
And I think they would find the community much more accepting than what it was when they were here. And I'm so glad that you've come back.
Well, thank
Because
you.
you've been a great part of
I'm
making
glad to
that
be
more
here in
accepting.
Hanover. I love my hometown, even though I had some traumatic things happen here. I love my hometown.
Yeah.
Especially now seeing everybody come together.
Come together like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rosemary, do we have another question?
We certainly do. Somebody's asking, what is the goal of Pride Hanover?
The goal of Pride Hanover is to teach, educate, love, unite people. When I first started this, I just wanted to start a Facebook group and, talk to my community, just the LGBTQ community. And then it became bigger. And So I had to sit down and really think about this. What did I want this to be? And what I want this to be is, a place where anybody that comes to us is loved, accepted, not discriminated against, not looked at as not worthy. This organization is gonna do really great things for this community. Our long-term goal is to have a building where we have a resource center where we can have different therapeutic staff supports on hand so that they can educate, they can help the youth or help the senior population. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of seniors in this town that are still closeted and that are afraid to come out.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it's just been ingrained into them that it's wrong. And it's not. You are loved. You are beautiful. You are worthy.
Yeah, but in their time frame, in the time frame that they were coming to grips with this, it was almost death-defying,
Absolutely.
to admit it. And so they've lived so many decades in the closet that it really is difficult for them. It would be great if you had that kind of an option, or even just to get them to participate
Right.
in the activities.
Absolutely. We would
would be
love to see you
great.
come out. Wear your rainbow flags. Wear your different colored shirts. Do whatever you want to do. Be you and be authentic.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I've got one big question.
Okay.
Okay.
There's lots of big
so-
questions.
Yeah, I got lots of big questions, but this one really, anytime I meet somebody like yourself who's got all these balls in the air that you're juggling, okay? You're raising a child by yourself.
Yep.
You're running a business.
Yep.
You've developed this organization that you're keeping it going. How do you sleep? How do you do this?
I sleep.
Yeah.
I sleep.
Standing up with your eyes open.
Right. I have a lot of help.
Yeah.
I have the help of my board members. I have the help of, my staff. I have my biggest support is my mother, who is taking care of my child while I can't. My dream was to create a better community for him. That's really what it boils down to, is I want to make it better for him. Better than what I had.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
So
and
sleep. I can sleep when I'm in the grave.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that feeling. I ran on that for quite a few decades. So, but when you've got something that really compels you and grabs you by the heart, it's hard not to.
It's passion. It drives
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
It drives
absolutely.
me. That's
that and the love for your child.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and that's my passion, is my child.
Yeah.
While I might not be with him 24/7, 7 days a week, my child is what I do this for.
Yeah, yeah. So, absolutely. Rosemary, I see the signal.
Oh, yep. What advice do you have for kids that would like to start a GSA club at school and face resistance from administrators?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Come to community and be a part of that organization. We are here at the Hanover YWCA, and we would love to have you. I would also urge the parents to get behind this, right? Make it loud, aggressive at some points with the school district, because without you doing that and standing up for your kid, there's not going to be any change.
You're right. You're right. And perhaps if enough students from any one given school were to become involved with community, then, maybe they could actually get the support then, as a group to go to the school and say, look, we can get there. We can get the support there, but there are a lot of other kids who don't have the transportation, the availability, the whatever, to be able to join into those things.
Absolutely. I mean, right now in Hanover, there is not a GSA. And I think that there should be. And I think that the school board needs to.
I'm sorry, Southwest does.
Southwest does. Hanover Public School District does not. I'm sorry. Hanover Public School District needs to come up and stand up and be better. Because while it is better, it's still not where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of work to do. And I will be there to help you do that.
And a lot of that comes from the kids bringing those issues to the school board with the support of the teachers and the support of their parents. And, getting involved here with community or with Pride Hanover
Absolutely.
might be a place to start to gather the right information and develop the moxie to be able to do that.
Look,
you know?
we all have to have gumption to do to make change.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you're going to stay stagnant. That's
Yep.
that's what it is. If you become complacent, you're just not going to go anywhere.
Right, right. You have another one?
We do. We've got another question. What myths do you wish to dispel about the gay community?
That that it's choice. I've said it before on here that it's not a choice. We're born this way. Praise Lady Gaga.
Yes.
We were born this way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Two of my grandchildren were singing that song when one of them couldn't even pronounce half the words. But they got the message,
Right.
The next question here is, do you have any kind of mentor program or big brother, big sister program for the younger youth LGBTQ community? Someone specific that they can reach out to ask questions or just talk to?
Reach out to me. I'll be here. A day, like we've said, I don't sleep. I mean, I do, but I don't. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. I will be here. I don't care if it's in the middle of the night. Whatever I can do, I'll be there to help anybody. And, and if you can't get a hold of me, you can go to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Community partners with True North to provide the community program at the YWCA.
Yeah.
It looks like that's all of the questions that we have.
Okay. We've got a little bit of extra time if anyone else had questions, and we're just reluctant to write in. Anything else in particular that you wanted to address, Bryan?
Change isn't easy. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. And we need change.
Mm-hmm.
We need change. Hanover is craving that change. You walk down the street and you see it. They want it. Look at, whether you are for one side or the other, look at the community square, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have all different backgrounds on that square protesting and saying which way they demonstrating and saying which way they want to be, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
You need challenge. You need to be challenged, but be open to hearing that. Be open to hearing the different sides of things. Don't think that just because they're out there protesting and out there demonstrating that, at the end of the day, all they want to do is be loudmouth people. They're out there doing it to promote education and tolerance and acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the greatest thing about that over the last couple of months, in my opinion, was that I don't recall reading anywhere where there were any huge fights. Or,
No.
This group took that corner, this group took that corner.
Absolutely.
Everybody had their point of view to state, and, you know, there was no problem with it,
Right.
you know, so.
And you know, I commend the Hanover Borough Police. You know, they are amazing at helping and keeping that divide intact and
Mhm.
not leveling up to that.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
They didn't encourage.
Yeah, they did not
Difficulty, right.
encourage one side or the
Right,
other.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, um, I want to reiterate some things that Bryan said, beyond, or along with the Pride Hanover Facebook page. There's also the community program here at the YW. There's also several other resources you can find online through CDC, through just even Googling, you know, LGBTQ. The Human Rights Campaign website has tons of information.
The Trevor
for-
Project.
I'm sorry?
The Trevor Project.
The Trevor Project, yes. And the information is broken down not only for the individual, but also for the parents, for friends who are allies, and also for age appropriateness.
Right.
So you can find information on any of these topics very easily. And, you know, there's no reason to be in the dark and to say, I had no idea what all this involved. So,
Yeah. Pride Hanover is actually, along with creating the Resource Center, you know, what we are trying to do is create subdivisions of Pride Hanover where we have an organizational, like, a community for parents of LGBTQ kids. We want to have a, like, subdivision for their siblings.
Mhm.
We want to have a subdivision for the parents of kids, LGBTQ parents of children that have
Mhm.
children.
yes.
You know,
Mhm.
that you know, we're trying to break it down and you know, make sure that everybody is hit in that demographic so that you have that educational resources. So, if you can give right now, get on there and buy some merchandise, you know, so that we can
Mhm.
get that resource center up faster than we're doing right now.
Mhm. I think sometimes you have to learn to how to be an ally. I've
Oh,
been
absolutely.
watching some videos lately in preparation for tonight, and I've learned quite a bit about the fact that sometimes what I think I'm saying that is helpful is actually not so helpful. So, you know, sometimes it's important to go back and refresh your memory as to what is it that I'm doing that I think is showing my support that really isn't showing it as much as I think. So going back and revisiting some of those pieces of information, you know, like the difference between stating sexual orientation versus sexual preference,
Well,
you know.
when you're out in public and you are like you see something happen, like somebody say something derogatory to someone else, stand up for that person.
Exactly.
You know, don't let that be the narrative of this town anymore.
Right. Exactly.
We have one more question here. My daughter wants to ask, what advice do you have regarding how to tell your friends that you're gay?
That's a good question.
Well,
That is a good question.
I really didn't have to worry about that too much because I just wasn't blatantly out. But my suggestion would be to just be you. Just tell them. Get it over with. You know, look, there's a chance of rejection and there's a chance of acceptance. And more than not, you're going to be accepted. It's your fear that's going to hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
So just do it. You know, let them know. Be you. be authentic.
There's something about a friend who would reject you, who is probably wasn't your friend anyway.
Absolutely. And they aren't. Look, I can count on one hand how many true friends I have. At the end of the day, we all have people in our lives, and the ones that are going to be there are going to stick with you no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're glad you stuck with Hanover.
Well,
And
thanks.
came back to be with us. So, if you have any further questions, you know that you can address them to the YW here through community, or also to Bryan through Pride Hanover. I think that probably wraps it up for tonight. We're just about at the 8 o'clock hour. Bryan, thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed. I've been looking forward to this conversation, and it's been fun to get a chance to get to know you a little
Thank
bit better.
you.
Enlightened Conversations is going to take a break over the holidays, but we'll be back in January with some new topics and new guests and lots of great conversation. If you have topics that you would like us to cover, things you want to see us get into or talk about, or you want to learn about, please make sure you contact the YW. The number here is 717-637-2125, or you can always go to the Facebook page and send in a note that way. Until January, enjoy your holidays. Keep this conversation going no matter where you are, and please be safe. Thank you. Good night.